Greetings, dear ones. It is with a somber heart that I greet you today. Normally on Fridays, I am sharing with you what goes on during the week or rather, the current collective consciousness theme that is showing up. And there is a very strong one, very apparent one today or this week. And I'm inviting everyone that is able to join us today to feel into what is going on, not just in Ukraine, but around the world. We are, as I was speaking to a colleague earlier this week, the knife edge has now moved into a razor's edge, and we are teetering still between the old way and the new way. For my part, I have received information from my intergalactic council, the ancients, that the voting for the new way was completed, and the majority do want to move into the stage of evolution that is potentially available to us right now. Meaning that we are moving from the old way of an individual, excuse me, or a very small group of people having control and ownership of great resources and tracts of land, etc., and maintaining power, control, oppression over the masses. We see this throughout history, as I've mentioned before, whether it was kings, tyrants, conquerors, emperors, over and over and over again, just doing whatever they chose to their own people, excuse me, the people they were conquering, in order to gain their ends. And there is no difference here and now today. The difference is that we, the people, on a soul level, have chosen or still are in the process of choosing whether we're going to make that huge evolutionary leap into a much more refined and sophisticated level of duality. We live in, as I mentioned before, a dualistic universe that is not going to change, but the quality and level of that duality can absolutely change. And we have been exploring this one form of duality for hundreds of thousands of years, and as I said, from my information, we have chosen something different. But we are in the throes of that. And if you are here at this point in time, it is because you chose to be a significant player and have the power to do just that, to evolve this planet, this species, this way of being. And, as I said, we have the old way and the new way coming in. Many refer to it as the Piscean age and now the Aquarian age. The immature, unevolved to a more evolved way. And that doesn't mean happy clappy. It doesn't mean everybody just swimming in this big mass of love and peace, which on the one hand sounds very, very good at this moment, of course, but on the other, that is not duality. So I invite you to really look at what's going on in the world through the focus of Ukraine. And the people around the world are being catalyzed, and that includes us, are being catalyzed, provoked, awakened, And the pandemic served a great purpose insofar as that is concerned. It allowed us to slow down. It allowed us to really reevaluate what is important to us individually, as a family, as a community, as a country. And of course, it hasn't entirely been decided or chosen, but it did give us an opportunity to look and see more. And that's what, this awakening is all about, is to be aware of more. We generally have a very myopic view of life and our world because, with all the pressures and tensions and obligations and many things flying at us at a very fast clip, it becomes more and more difficult to slow down and take the time and really see what's going on. It's like being on a bullet train versus, a steam train. And we've been on that steam train through the pandemic, enabling us to, if we so choose, or if we chose, to be able to look at things and feel into them. Because that's one of the first and foremost tools of the defense system in the individual, is you keep moving, you keep doing, you keep going, and you do so from a mind perspective and a will perspective, so that you don't actually drop into the deeper feelings. And this happens all the time. There's a great crisis right now. It is focused in Ukraine. Other times it's mass shootings, horrible events, and, for the moment, we're sending our thoughts and prayers, and then boom, on to the next thing. And this is not going to allow us to move on to the next thing. This is not just the invasion and conquering of a country. This is a huge tract of land that holds many resources and is surrounded by other countries, or not surrounded by, but on certain borders there are other countries where tyranny and autocracy are being held very, very tightly with the support of Russia, Turkey with Erdogan, Belarus, which had its own elections about a year and a half ago, I believe it's been, and the person that was voted in was very progressive, wanted to increase democracy, etc., and he was arrested and immediately disappeared from view. His wife was trying to bring this out to the world and keep fighting. She is still in hiding to this day. And there are many brave people in different places trying to support and garner more awareness and fight for a democratic way. And this isn't just about a political perspective. The difference being that, of course, in tyranny, autocracy, what have you, communism as it is certainly in China, there is one man or a very small group deciding the fate of everyone else in the country. Democracy has an opportunity, or gives an opportunity, for the individual's voice to be heard, for the people to rule. And so this is a fight between democracy and the old way. And we each have the ability to make a mark, to stand up and speak out, whether it's in our choices of where we put our money. Again, maybe it's going to take a massive boycott of energy. We're going to have to find some other ways other than gas and petroleum and coal, which are what the old guard has control of, and what our economy has been based in, and an unrenewable resource that can be owned, it can be controlled. Whereas some of the renewable resources, such as the sun, the air, etc., cannot be owned per se. They cannot be, the means by which they are utilized or transmitted, be it solar panels or wind fans or what have you, but not the resource itself, which leaves wide open the possibilities and the individual imagination and ideas and people, diverse groups coming together to create something new and different rather than the old way. Another mark of the old way is isolationism, and that comes directly from our individual experience. I need to protect myself. I need to just focus on myself. I need to just do what it takes to survive every single day, and I can't even worry with what's out there. I don't have any power. I don't have any control over what goes on out there or over there. As an individual, as a child, that's what we experience. And as adults, we carry that on in our political and social perspective as well, our social actions. It doesn't matter what happens to those people of color or whoever else. As long as I'm good here, that's what it takes. And how much are we going to effort or sacrifice or give up in order for the larger population, the inclusiveness and the inclusion of everyone. And those are some really hard decisions that we're all going to have to make. And that's the wondrousness of what's going on. The pandemic served many different purposes to illuminate what goes on with food supply, with medical supplies, with who gets what, and how much is being charged for it, what countries, we're all in this together. That's the huge thing. We cannot isolate any longer. This is no longer a situation of small countries and way over there is some other peoples or country. This is a global world, a global market, a global back and forth trade. No country has everything, and so there is a back and forth, and must be. But who and how that's decided really is up to us, the people. And we're, again, the old way was oppression and fear and feeling powerless as individuals or as a small country. And now this is an opportunity, another prompting, another catalyst for the people to rise up. We don't realize our power. We don't realize how much we can do, both in, overt ways, but more importantly, from the perspective of the work that I teach, is doing so individually. And when you truly, deeply, profoundly change your own wounds and traumas, you are actually changing human nature, because what goes on in the macrocosm is only being reflected from what is going on in the microcosm, i.e. your personal world. We're seeing the people in Russia rise up. They did not know what was going on for the most part because they do not have access to free press and free speech for the most part. It is government-owned avenues of information. So if we, in solidarity, not just in, as I said, outward ways, but in our own personal freedom, decide that we are no longer going to be under the control of misperceptions and mistaken beliefs based in our childhood experiences. This week, I've had clients experiencing or going back and exploring by different catalysts in their life the sensation of, they don't really matter. The parents are doing what they want to do when they want to do it without really putting the child's well-being in the foreground. That there is, it doesn't matter the cost to the child. It doesn't matter the cost to their mental, emotional, spiritual being. This is what I'm deciding, and they'll just have to go along with it, kind of taking for granted that they can't do anything about it, and I know best, and it doesn't matter. I want to do what I want to do. And we all experience that to a lesser or greater degree, more subtly or more blatantly in our childhoods. And because everybody experiences the same things. We all do. Different flavors, it may have different appearances, maybe done in different ways, but we all have those same experiences. Even if you're in the best of situations with your parents, that's part of the game. It's part of the process. That when you have those experiences in you, you have the opportunity to explore them, to transform them, or even transmute them. And this is how human nature changes, and this is how we evolve as people, or as a species. So the more you do on your own individual experience of tyranny and being overpowered and invasion, and you don't really matter, what I want is more important. These are very general, but they do occur in everyone's lives. Or, I'm taking advantage of the fact that you can't do anything, taking for granted that you can't do anything about it. Ukraine does not have the firepower to be able to fight Russia, despite the support, financial and weaponry. It just doesn't. But it isn't, at this moment, up until now, it hasn't been part of NATO, which is an alliance of countries. But should this invasion go further into certain countries that are party to NATO, then that involves all of those allies who are signed off on that alliance. And that does include us, and it includes the UK, it includes many, many, many countries. And so this is potentially a much larger problem than an invasion of one country. It's no secret that this has the potential to convert into world war. This is why we study history. This is to learn and not continue to make the same mistakes. This is why we go back into our own individual histories to learn and grow and transform and transmute so that we're not repeating them, which everyone does. We repeat and repeat and repeat the same circumstances and the same experiences, hoping for something different. And anyone who did not believe that this was going to happen was either purposefully or perhaps numbing themselves to what goes on in the rest of the world, what goes on in their own outside world. And so the oils coming up today for today's talk was number 1, valor, which we're going to put in the mix here, which represents honorable courage. That doesn't mean just bravery to, fight. It means a very honorable courage. How can you stand in the truth of what you desire and believe this world can be, and what actions are you going to take? What steps are you going to take to make sure that's true? If it means sacrificing, maybe some things that we enjoy as luxuries in order to pay more for gas and our heating oil, in order to find different ways of renewable and sustainable, are you willing to do that? What are you willing to stop buying single-use plastic that is completely and utterly sourced from petroleum? There are very many ways that we can make choices out in the world, but again, for me, it is always about the individual, and the deeper you are, the more deeply you're able to transmute pieces within you, the more far-reaching the effects of that, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So we have all of this in the mix today. As I said, valor is one of the oils. Awaken, and these are young living oils. I will not use any others because I have not found any others to be as pure and to be able to maintain the beingness of the plants and the trees. The oil blend Awaken. We must all awaken to the fact that we're in this together, and that our actions, our choices, we do make a difference. The people are the power. The next oil that came up for today was Sensation, which is about us continuing to feel what's going on, not just lightly, oh gee, that's the headline for today, what a shame, and move on. These are deeply affecting occurrences and situations. And of course, not surprisingly, the oil blend of transformation came up as well. If you have the Young Living oils, I would encourage you to use these. It'll enable you to discover and move through some of your own personal work right now. And I also asked several oracle cards who would be joining us today. And one of my favorite decks, the Elemental Oracle deck, brought forward snow. And for me, I didn't actually grow up in snow, so my experience with it here on the East Coast over the couple of decades I've lived here is always fascinating. And one of the strongest characteristics is when that snow comes in, it blankets everything, and everything comes to quiet and stillness. And so that's the energetic within the mix that's coming forward, the beautiful element of water through its form as snow, bringing that quiet and that softness and stillness. Another one of my oracle decks, Sacred World deck, which is just absolutely magnificent artistry from Chris Walder. The rabbit came forward, and as I was sitting here last night in session with a client, there was directly outside my window. My windows are at ground level. So outside for almost the entire session, a rabbit was sitting directly in my view. And this is, they are coming out. We have more warmth right now. But the rabbit is always, it's a fascinating animal, but it represents fear in many different traditions. And while we have so much fear occurring right now with what's going on, this is an invitation as we step into our own realized power as individuals and as the people, to move from that fear that the old guard and the old way and the old structuring has imposed for so many millennia. Excuse me. And the last thing I want to bring in the mix, so this is all, as you know, those of you who have worked with me before, we're talking about a container that is already structured in the preparation I've done this morning, and with anyone who is joining me live here today and anyone who will be listening to this in future. Despite the fact that you will be listening in future, your energetic presence and contribution into the sacred geometric configuration of this container is already present, is already in place. So that when you do participate or listen again and again to the second half of this in the deep energetic that we're dropping into shortly, you will be amplified and amplifying it through your own personal sensation and your personal energetic field. So lastly, I want to bring in something that is coming directly from Ukraine, from someone on Facebook who I connected to, and she's been posting. She was posting previously of her process of gathering items in an emergency backpack, and then having to go into the subway system with thousands of other people and be safe. So this update came in approximately 45 minutes ago. And her name is Oksana Potapova. I have posted on my Facebook page something from her yesterday, and you can follow her. And this is an update from, she says, somewhere between Kiev and the western Ukraine. And this was yesterday or at 6 o'clock. She says, she writes, "The night owl that I am, I was able to fall asleep only at 3 a.m. In parentheses, the anxiety didn't help, and woke up at 11:30. It's good that my body is still able to get the sleep it needs. Meanwhile, my phone died and I put it to charge while trying to find a cup of coffee. Getting it now feels like a luxury, but even here we were lucky. Making our way to the top, we see the only open shop across the street where a man sells fruit. Somehow, after a fierce night in Kiev, I will describe it later," she says, "he still opened his shop. I ask him if he also sells coffee. No, I don't, and you won't find it anywhere here. All shops in the area are closed. But if you want, I can treat you. Yes, please, we can pay. Don't mention money." He pulls out 2 paper cups and a jar of instant coffee, switches on his teapot. In a few minutes, we are sipping hot, sweet, instant coffee, probably one of the tastiest in my life. Quote, unquote. Quote, "The Russians took over my city. I am from Chernobyl," he says, "but my roots are from Azerbaijan, and my brother lives there. He has a YouTube channel, and he's been covering the events all night. We're all in solidarity with Ukraine." Close quotes. This is the shopkeeper speaking. We buy some apples and bananas and make our way back to the station, that's the subway station, only to plan our further steps. Staying in Kiev is not safe. I will tell you why in my next updates. The next paragraph. I am safe now, on my way between Kiev and somewhere else. I am warmed and overwhelmed with support and solidarity, and with the immensity of the situation as well. What I know is that the whole world is with us, but especially our sisters and brothers from the former Soviet space. So many of our territories have experienced Russia's endless imperial claims, which have been taken lightly for too long. I condemn all imperialist and neo-colonial claims that still have so much standing in the world today. This must end. My page has 8,000 followers since last night. Thank you for your solidarity. Continue to pressure your governments for sanctions. Demand closure of airspace over Ukraine. Cut off Russia from SWIFT. We keep resisting not only for Ukraine, but for the end of all empires. Have a sip of coffee with us and get going. This is someone on the ground in the mix right now. I invite you to please open your heart, open your being. Allow yourself to not feel sorry for or simply send thoughts and prayers, but connect into the place within you, your previous experience, particularly as a child, when you did feel that powerlessness, when you did have to fear what was going on the next day. And again, that may not have been something like physical or sexual abuse. It can be just so many slight ways in which you were made to feel like you don't matter. And when and as you can access that within you, and as much as you can on your own, transform it and or seek out avenues of transmutation, which is the work that I do. Please do so, because that is the only thing that can end this old way. And now really taking a breath and dropping in and feeling all of this in the mix. The largeness, the individualness, the solidarities, the support, your own personal experience of being overpowered or brushed aside, your wishes and your desires, or your knowing. And I invite you to sit deeply, not eliminating all of that which is painful and scary, but including it, allowing it to be here in this container, in this powerful, exponentially far-reaching container. And bringing your feelings forward, for it is the feelings, the emotions that are going to energetically fuel transformation and transmutation. It does not happen in the head. It does not happen through will. It only happens through the emotions. So I invite you to feel deeply in yourself, in your body, in your internal turmoil, or perhaps today you are bringing forward a sense of that stillness and quiet that the snow brings. Perhaps you have recently come to be fearless in an aspect of yourself or an action in your life. As we honor the animal teacher of Rabbit. Perhaps it is through the many existences that you have had on this planet as a human, experiencing what the people of Ukraine and so many others around the world are currently experiencing. The overpowering, the taking over, the oppression. It is not through pity or sympathy that these will be changed. But through your own awakening to how that was experienced in you. And through the transformation and transmutation of that, coming to be aware of your sovereignty, your individuality. Your freedom. Allow yourself to sensate what is going on inside, no matter what it may be. For whatever you are experiencing and feeling is exactly right for you, is exactly right for this moment in time, exactly right for what is occurring on the world stage. For if those strong feelings are met with denial, suppression, unfeelingness, negation, dismissal, then you, in doing so, are perpetuating those same ways of being enacted through leaders who choose to deny, negate, ignore, suppress the people, the land, the animals, for their own personal gain and ends. Allow yourself to feel within you. What are the sensations? What are your experiences? Not analyzing them, naming them, categorizing them, but simply, but most difficultly, not a word, feeling them, experiencing them. For as you drop deeper down and within you, you are also able to tap into your individual power of choice. The power that you have to affect your life and that of the other side of the world. Sit deeply within yourself, tapping into the knowledge, experience, that you have gleaned as a soul. With an expertise in duality. For as you have studied, explored, experienced, lived, all sides, all aspects of duality, to then choose, realizing your freedom as a free will soul, what you want this world to be. You do get to decide. And you are here now on purpose, purposefully, as a significant player in the evolutionary process of this planet. Feel someplace within you resonate with that awareness. Allow yourself to feel the peace within that knowing. Allow yourself to feel the stillness within. As you realize your significance, how much you do matter. For in that realization, that knowing, that owning, that embodying of that awareness, the frequency goes far and wide. Reminding others so that each may stand in their own individuated sovereignty. This is the power of the people. In the face of tyrants and autocrats, and those of the old order have no power. This last-ditch effort of the old way cannot succeed in the face of the unity and allowing yourself another deepening of the internal experience of your sovereignty. And your birthright. Birthright of freedom. Individual choice, free will choice. Such that your voice, your mark, in this world is felt, will be anchored. You're welcome to stay in this space if you so choose, or gently and very, very gradually allow your energy field and your wider self to very organically lead you back to a more physical experience of this third dimensional plane. And whenever you do choose to return, you will be integrated, and all that has been created and developed in this container consolidated within you as you move throughout your day, vibrating your truer self. And I want to invite you to please make sure and be a member of the Applied Universal Alchemy group, because there is an upcoming group program where we're going to be doing a lot of these large world projects in addition to the individual transmutation work. Details forthcoming, and this will be posted on YouTube as well as here on Facebook. And I will more than likely be doing more frequent meditations, less talk, just dropping in for and on behalf of this current situation and other world situations. So please keep an eye peeled. In the meantime, please know that as always, it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet that I bid you adieu.